This is Karen with the Rugger's Edge. I'm so excited to bring you another installment of Rugger's Edge TV. Today I have Dr. Jules McCoy. She is the owner and founder of American Rugby Pro Training Center, which is based in Arkansas. It is an amazing program that historically has focused more on senior level players, but recently have been diving into helping the development of younger high school players. And I'm so excited because the opportunity is there. There are young women that are out there looking for it. So I'm excited to have her on to talk a little bit more about the program, some trends that we're seeing with high school and youth players, and kind of see where this goes. So Jules, if you want to kind of jump in here a little bit, give a little more detail to the folks that are watching this about what ARPTC is, and then specifically about high school, we will kick it off with that.
Okay, sure. Well, Karen, thank you first and foremost to have me on today. I'm super excited about your program and how we work together to try to grow this beautiful and wonderful sport for these young women that we love. So yeah, ARPTC is an academy that we started about 5 years ago out of the need for growth. We wanted female players to have a place where they could go work on their game in a consistent way and prepare themselves truly for the top levels if that's what their goals are. And if it's not, just get better and understand the game, educate them on what the game's all about, how it can be, not what it is. So this year, this is our 5th year, and now we've forayed into what we would call a high school full-time residency program. So, you know, I got to tell you, it's been amazing how many applicants we've had. I mean, we're full for the full-time residency program, which would be 2 and 3 weeks for 24 athletes.
Wow.
And we only have 1 spot left for our 5-day camp program. So basically what we do is give kids an opportunity and parents an opportunity to dip their toes into a full-time environment rather than jump all the way into the pool straight away. So the 5-day camp is really about kids who want to come in and say, hey, I don't know what ARPTC is about, but I'm not sure I'm ready to jump in for 2 or 3 weeks away.
Right.
So they go in with our camp. We don't run it separately. They're included. We have a giant inclusive camp for all for the first week. And then the 5-day campers go home. They will have, you know, experienced what ARPTC is all about, and they can choose whether they think they want more or not. It's that simple. The 2-week plan is where we have some international players coming in from China specifically. We've had other international applications. There's some rules around whether they can actually participate on American teams in the NAI7s, and that's being worked out. But we created a 2-week program just for them. We have some players who had finished, had been playing for the Atlantis program, who requested that they finish the 3rd leg as an Atlantis player. We said, absolutely, you play with Atlantis and we'll have our own team. We go to Utah and it's all about growth. So we're very excited about this program and nervous. So I'm here to say that there is interest.
Yeah, no, I mean,
program for high school girls.
I mean, I think one of the first things we talked about was when we first started, you know, maybe we touched base at a women's conference or something, but, you know, I think there's so many young women that, I mean, when I was a player, you know, this is a long time ago, but, you know, when you're doing rugby, it's kind of a hobby. It's not, you know, or if you were lucky enough to go to a high school with a team, it still wasn't the main sport you would do. And even if you wanted extra training or to work on your skills, there's really nowhere to go. Or unfortunately, many of the camps, maybe due to budget constraints, you know, 2 days or 3 days. So I think this is a great opportunity to really, as you said, dive in and get a sense of what that high performance program would look like. You know, for those maybe who weren't quite ready to do it this year, but or maybe thinking about for next year, or thinking about what is to come, like what will the 5-day camp, you know, or I mean, obviously the residency is included. What kind of things are these players going to work on that you feel like a lot of these players would benefit from that maybe they're not getting at home, or what are some skills and things you guys really want to focus on?
Well, most opportunities for young women and men, for that matter, are camps, so it's like I come in and get an intro to skills. I have a great time, but I come in and get an intro to skills, and then I spend more money, and then I come in and get an intro to skills, and then I spend more money. And it's just, you're just spending money and money and money, and you're not really getting any consistency. Your kids aren't learning necessarily all the skills they need with a consistent pattern, and they also don't really know where they're going until they get to college, for example. And but the truth is that, I mean, why would we wait for our kids to get to college? I mean, college is a great resource, but what if there's a place you can go to really learn not just rugby, but also how to get along with other people, whether, number one, number two, how to function in that type of environment where you're practicing more frequently than 2 days a week, how to actually think about the game in a more a mature way, rather than just catch, pass, and tackle, which of course are really important, but also it's just that next step. And I think more importantly, finding out what you don't want. So many players have hopes and dreams, and we want them to have hopes and dreams. But once you roll your sleeves up and you get into a full-time environment, the reality is that it's not that, it's not that cool. Get up at 7 a.m. every morning, have your breakfast, be sore, and not be able to bail. It's a different mindset. So this is an opportunity for kids to find out what they want and what they don't want. And that helps everyone. That helps kids, that helps parents, that helps college coaches, that helps the growth of the game. And so we just have to find out. We don't know what our mission is. This is a very, this game, we're in our infancy in regards to growth of the overall game, and having 14, 15, 16, and 17-year-old people actually participating on a more consistent basis. So right. This is just one of those baby steps for us and for everyone that we hope will catch fire, because, as I've told the parents, it's like, I could decide, well, you know what, I don't know if we're ready for that after 3 weeks. It might be a wow moment for me. Or maybe, no, this worked and we'll do another 3 weeks. Or it could be, oh my God, we've got to do more. We'll expand this to 4 or 5 weeks.
Right.
So we really don't know what's going to happen. And that's a good thing, because isn't that life? So if you've got leaders out there saying, look, I don't know how this is going to work out, but we'll try to do our best, then the kids will do that.
Right. I mean, I know I've recommended the camp a lot for players who are considering, especially as they're researching colleges and thinking about what the pathway would look like, and they're maybe looking at these NCAA programs, the NIRA ones that are really regimented and they're really structured, and they're more similar to what most of us would expect from college rugby, from a college sport, but maybe not college rugby, because there's still a pretty big difference between those supported NCAA programs and even club programs and things like that. So a lot of students in their mind say, oh, well, of course, that's what I want. I want the most competitive, the most serious. And then, just like you said, I think to actually be in an environment and go, yeah, it's really cool to put the jersey on, but there's a lot of work that goes into putting the jersey on. I had an interview a couple of weeks ago with Kelly Griffin, and it was really fun. I said, oh, what was that like for you as a national team player? And one of the things she said is, somewhere through the interview, she's like, yeah, it's not that exciting to eat your chicken breast and rice, your nutrition is really important. Being an Olympian and doing those things, you're a 2-time national team coach. I mean, you've certainly, I think, probably seen some young players come through that were, probably shocked at the difference of, yes, I got here, but then that's not it, right? That's not the end point. That's just like the beginning.
Correct.
where it goes.
I would say that probably, and this kind of goes along with the ARPTC philosophy, and that is that we treat players and coaches like humans and not objects. And that's basically our firm philosophy. Our culture is a caring culture. In fact, the Latin for culture is care, to care. And so that also means we care about people who would not choose to be here. Because I think that's going to be the thing that's been missing in rugby for the sport to grow. And that is the, quote, cut mentality, end quote. You're not good enough to be at this super high level, and the expectations that we put on our kids to try to get that super high level. And then when we don't reach it, what do? We quit.
Yeah.
So for us, for me personally, it's like we've got to build a group of folks who we are okay with wherever they land, because those folks then find belonging in the game. They have to feel like they belong. Okay, so they're the next best club coach, the next best high school, college player, maybe never play again. Maybe they're the next referee. Maybe they're the next rugby administrator. Maybe they're the next USA women's sevens coach. But they didn't make the Olympics. Okay, so we've got to look at kids and coaches like you belong. Wherever you end up, that's the level you belong in, and that's okay. And so the number one thing that I see from ARPTC 18 and older and 16, 17 amongst our women is building confidence in reality. You see the difference? Because we have all these expectations about what we want, and we carry so many expectations in to what other people want us to do. And then we get to the real work and they go, wait a minute, you're the one doing the work. So sometimes there's a disconnect between reality, where you are, and your expectations. And sometimes they're not even yours. Sometimes they're the expectations of others. And so ARPTC works really hard to bring reality and expectations together. So this kid is happy with what they're doing. And that keeps them engaged, and that keeps them coming back.
Yeah, no, I think I mean, if you were to sit down with a student, like you will this summer, and some of them, I think, you're like, what's your goal? What would you like to do? I mean, some will say like play for the US. Some will say play in college, and someone else say, I want to be a better player, whatever that means, and something that I've certainly learned for myself as a player and then as a referee is sometimes those goals too. The biggest obstacle is realizing that you don't have as much control about that. You can do everything right, and it is what it is, for whatever reason, it's a personnel thing. They don't need your position, or you were in the running and you were injured. I mean, there's a lot of things you can't control. And same with college admissions, right? I hear that all the time is
right.
I did everything right. I got my 4.0. I got my perfect test score. I did all my extracurriculars. How come I didn't get X school? And I think with sports and with college, it's one of those things I always encourage students, we're going to do the best we can. You're going to shoot for the stars. But in the end, if you don't get the result you want, it's not because you weren't good enough. It's simply that the choices that they made were out of our control. For whatever reason, that college or that team needed something different. They already had 5 scrum halves. They don't need another scrum half. They need a prop. And that doesn't mean you're not the best scrum half right now, but your abilities are best served at another school, or something like that. So I love what you're saying about kind of, that's great to have that long-term goal or something, but know that if that doesn't happen, it doesn't mean, well, that's it. Because there is a huge drop-off of especially with young women, of playing. I mean, you see this rise in high school, and then it drops in college, and then drops again in club. So I love this, like, continuing to, stay involved and feel like you're important, whatever.
I mean, we have to stand by our athletes, and we have to stand by our coaches. Okay? And we build a culture where we stand by you. I promise only two things when people come here. One, they will have a great experience. That's more important than number two is they will end their summer here a better rugby player than they entered their summer here. I cannot control who goes to the national team. I can't control a lot of things at all. I have no special telephone line. I don't have the red hot phone. And thankfully, we don't have a system where there is a red hot phone, where kids are really given a genuine opportunity to earn their spot. There must be a place where you can go work on your game the right way with the right values to earn a spot. There must be that. Or otherwise, I mean, our society is going to fall apart. So let's I could go there, but I won't in this. But there must be that for them. You know what I mean? There must be.
Right. And this is maybe shift gears a little bit, just more into the specifics, but, especially dealing with the senior women that you've been seeing. So probably most of them are probably in college or maybe just out of college. I know it's not specific to high school, but even with what you've seen with them, because you get them like for a whole year, right? Are they there for a whole year? When they first start, are there any trends or patterns you tend to see? And I'm talking, maybe you were talking a little bit about technical skills, or is it strength and conditioning? Like, what are some areas that are pretty common that they need more work in, I guess, when they show up, if you had to say?
Well, undeniably, the first 2 or 3 weeks is make or break you kind of, first 2 or 3 weeks. We don't like, it's not like boot camp where we, go pick up tires and run through sand or anything like that. But when a human being goes from practicing 2 times a week and getting to start with not doing a whole bunch, okay? And then they come into an environment where you have to get up at dawn and go do all these things all through the day for 5 days, and then sometimes play on the weekend. That's kind of a shock to the system. The physical demands, the mental demands of going from very little to a lot it takes a lot of adaptation. And so I think that's the number one thing. And so getting through that hurdle, just that process itself, helps our humans. Our humans finally realize, oh, I see what this looks like now. And then they can either trudge on or not. I've not had anyone leave after 3 weeks. They trudged on. So, but I will say that in 5 years, this year, for example, and as subsequent years, they've been, I can tell there's growth in the pool, or I would say our pool is getting larger and more consistent, because every year we have more people adapting more quickly. That makes sense?
Yes.
The new people go, wow. But then the older people, basically hold their hands and say, you can do this. This is just the hard part at the beginning, but your body gets used to the day in, day out of a full-time environment. And then after that, there's even more learning. So first you're complaining in your head because you're sore and you're tired. And then after that, the learning just goes up, because then you're not sore and tired anymore. You're used to it and you made it. Everything else is gravy, right? So I would say that that's probably the thing that I see the most. And again, it's not for everybody, right? It's not for everybody. But for those who choose, think about this. They're choosing at their young age to spend their whole summer playing rugby. It's not a passive event. It's an active one. I'm choosing that. I'm also choosing to pay a little bit to do that. And as you know, our academy is not cost prohibitive, but what we do ask is that you pay a little bit so that we can be partners in your growth.
Mm.
I think that's really, really important, that when the kids get here, they go, wow, I get all this for this. And they realize, yeah, you spend $1,000 on a 5-day camp, $1,000 gets you a month at ARPTC. As far as cost, analysis, it's unbeaten.
Right.
You can't get it anywhere else.
Right.
I spent $2,500 on an international tour to Fiji for 10 days. $2,500 for a new resident gets you here for the whole summer.
Wow. But I like the idea of being invested. I think there's certainly, there's always been this undercurrent, this feeling of rugby being, well, in order to grow, we've got to make it free. Free clinics and free this and free that and free that. But then you have people that sign up, but they're like, it's free, so I don't have to go, or whatever. You have a couple people, 4 people, and then no one really gets to learn anything because people just don't show up. We're kind of that
right
mentality. So I think that you got to have a little skin in the game, right? And you've got
right. And we go on the theory of cognitive dissonance, which basically says that you do what your thoughts are, or you think what your actions are. They have to be consistent. Our brains do that. So, for example, if I pay $1,000, $2,500 for the summer, therefore I will try. I mean, it's that simple. That's how our brains are made. I mean, I'm a board certified neurologist. I know brain pathways. So I don't have to worry, for example, about bad behavior here, for example. Because when a brain decides to do something and spend money, it doesn't throw it away. It values it.
Right.
It tries. Do you see what I'm saying? It's just how we're set up as human beings. So I've only had one serious talk with a player in 5 years about behavior. One. I mean, that's unbelievable. But that's not me. That's theory of cognitive dissonance.
Right. I mean, are there in your mind, if you've watched some high school games, are there already some specific skills you think you'll probably spend some time focusing on with specifically high school athletes? Are there anything that you see?
Yeah, it's about, just what you actually described that to a T. It's about movements. It's about training movement. Okay. It's not about the bicep does this. You know what I mean? It's not about the quad does this. It's about how our bodies coordinate to get things done in our game of rugby. Okay. Everything in rugby is played through the feet. Everything. Okay. Everything goes through our core. So all that energy translates from our feet, okay, through our glutes, through our core, to our shoulders. So, I know this is going to be controversial, but when I was a younger coach, I'd say everybody needs to play rugby. And then as I got older, as I started seeing people get injured, and we have this concussion thing, not just rugby, but there's more view on concussion. Mm-hmm. I really believe that everybody could play rugby, but everybody, in order to play rugby, needs to prepare to play rugby. You need to prepare your body to make sure that it works and repeats those movements throughout the game, okay? Because they're repeated throughout the game. Those body positions and contact and tackle and scrummaging and rucking, those are repeated throughout the game. And we must keep our players safe. So how do we prepare our kids? The high school girls are coming here and they're going to work with our strength coaches 4 days a week.
Wow.
You may say, well, that seems like, why are we focusing on that? Well, for protection. Because you need to be able to tell your body what to do when. And your body needs to be able to respond. It's that simple, okay? If your mind's telling your body something that your body cannot do, that's a dangerous situation. Think about that. And also coaches need to know what players can and cannot do. Not character-wise, not intelligence-wise, but look at bodies and say, that body can do these movements, that body cannot do these movements. How can I get that help that player get their body to do those movements so that I can coach them and protect them. It's that simple. And so it can be a very dangerous game if you don't prepare. So the best tackle is a safe tackle. And getting a player down in any fashion is not a safe tackle, okay? I used to call it going polio with your legs. I know it's kind of probably not very PC. Those people that, you know, grab around and then their legs just kind of go to jelly and they use their legs' weight to bring the player down. That's a shoulder problem waiting to happen. You know, that's if you reach and get pulled and you're not prepared, you don't have scapular strength, you're gonna have a shoulder problem.
Right.
How many of our friends have shoulder problems? I mean, it's all from reach tackling. Okay. So, I mean, that's one of the things that we really focus on here at ARPTC is preparing the body for its best use. And then listening to the body. We have full-time physios, okay? I have 3 kids right now who came into the training and did not get to play last weekend, and they're not used to that. You should see their faces. Because they would play anyway at home.
Right.
You know, it's like, no, you can't play with this injury. See the mindset?
Right.
You know, taking care of yourself is not a passive event. And so at ARPTC, for example, we put in the schedule something called self-care. Okay. It's a daily thing. We provide a self-care kit. So they get a foam roller, they get a lacrosse ball, and they get 3 types of bands. Okay. And where they stay, there's a pool. And at the S&C place, they can do ice baths. So the point is, it's not just physio-driven that that their bodies are cared for. It's self-care, okay? We want to teach players how to take care of themselves so that they don't need the physio. Or when they need physio, it's because that's something outside what they can do for themselves. You have to learn about your own body. That's the only way you can become semi-professional or professional. Okay. I talked to an international player from England not 3 or 4 months ago. Okay. Her name is Heather Fisher, 34 years old. She's been playing the game at the professional level for over 10 years. She knows her body more than anybody. And she needs to know that. If she says, I can't go, everybody should say, okay. Why? Because she's Heather Fisher and she knows her body better than anybody else because she's trained herself that way. So imagine what we could do if we taught young women how to take care of themselves on and off the field, such that they only had to go seek help and know when to seek help when there was something they couldn't do for themselves. That's what rugby teaches young people. That's why I played it. That's why I still coach it. That's why I still believe in it. And that's why you, Miss Fong Donahue, are still in the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I think this circles back because I know we're kind of running out of time a little bit, but from the very beginning, you said to find what ARPTC, you know, the mission and the philosophy, which I love, is about finding belonging. And one of the things I start doing now is with seniors, we start writing essays, right? And many of them want to write about rugby and what rugby has done for them and why they chose to play, why they keep playing. And obviously, first drafts are always the same thing. It's going to be rugby is inclusive. I could be any body shape. I can, I found a family and a community. And I think those are the things that rugby can kind of double down on, right? Those are like literally, if you ask every single person, you know, why did you start playing? Why do you love it so much? Most of the time, those are the things that come up. I know I grew up, you know, playing volleyball and I'm 5'4", 5'5". I desperately wanted to play volleyball, but I just kept getting told, right? You're too short. Like, you're too short. You do not have the body we need for the sport. I remember walking out to my very first rugby, practice, and it was just like, great, perfect. You can go right there. And you're like, really? Like, I can play? And they're like, yeah. And you're playing on Saturday. But, it's like, it didn't matter. No one said, oh, well, you're not fast enough, or you're not this, or you're not that. If you want to work at it, we'll find a position for you.
It's like, it is a lot of people call it the family. We in ARPTC, we call it the family with a B. The kids came up with that. And that's why we have so many people come back, because it's like they feel like they feel free here to do what they need to do to take care of themselves here. We also have players who have come for 1 or 2 or 3 years, and they're playing for all of our competitor clubs. And we have no problems with that. In fact, I had a couple of kids playing for the Surfers. I have a kid that's playing for Life West. I have kids all over the place. And, they come to me and afterwards and say, thank you for helping me grow. And that's really what the Academy is. It's a place where you can come grow. You can stay if you want to, but we don't own you. We want you to choose what you want to do. And I think just following through on that is the key. It would be no different if I told my daughter the same thing. As a parent, she can come stay with me anytime she wants to, but she doesn't want to. So I'm here. You belong here. Go do what you need to do. If you need me, I'm here for you. I'll stand by you. It's no different in our academy and rugby and college. How about alumni? Same thing. If you don't have a good alumni program, you're struggling as a college program. People have to belong. If they belong, they'll come back, because they know what happened to them when they were in their times when they needed somebody or something.
Right. Right. Well, thank you so much for your time. As Jules mentioned in the beginning, there is one more spot left at their camp. So I'll make sure to post below this all the information for ARPTC and camp and contact information. So if you're interested in joining them this summer, I can't wait to see how the camp goes this summer, how the residency goes, how you guys do at NAI. I'll be cheering for you guys. And thanks so much. And I hope we get to chat again soon.
You're welcome, Karen. And again, thank you for what you do for our community also.
All right. I'll talk soon.
Have a great day.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.